gazing into a literal black mirror. As you stare into the blackness, into the interminable abyss, someone or something stares back into you.
Certain linguistic anthropologists think that religion is a language virus, that it rewrites pathways in the brain, dulls critical thinking.
As Rust Cohle alluded to in the first season of True Detective, language can be like a virus that hijacks certain neural pathways in the brain. Being mindful of the words one speaks is the first step to taking back freedom and awakening from the spell that has been cast. Recently, a number of social media content providers have been perpetuating misinformation regarding taxation and wealth distribution. The left often raises the issue of increasing taxes on the wealthy due to the inequitable distribution of wealth, and the right quickly counters that this is unjust, claiming that this wealth was earned through hard work and warning that attempts to tax these individuals at higher rates will result in their relocating. The right also asserts that the richest 1% already pay the largest amount of taxes. Both of these points seem valid on the surface, but in truth, this tax to which the right refer is imposed on the rich and not the wealthy. It only applies to the top 1% of earners that make up the workforce, not for the wealthiest 1%. It is important to make a clear distinction between the rich and the wealthy. The rich refers to a class whose labor and innovations have contributed in some way to the betterment of society. The compensation received in return is warranted, and they pay taxes on what they have earned. By contrast, the wealthy refers to a class that has made no such contributions to society. In fact, the wealthiest class uses its existing wealth to influence society in ways that disadvantage and hinder the masses, such as initiating wars as a means to acquire resources. This class pays no taxes and hoards its wealth. The rich are the top earners of the labor force and must be distinguished from the wealthy, who are not part of the labor force. In other words, the true wealthy class possess the greatest amount of wealth and pays no taxes whatsoever. The discourse between the left and right is intentionally designed to keep the masses' attention diverted from the truth of the real inequality. Whenever salient points are raised by the lower socioeconomic classes about wealth inequality, the wealthy elites activate their Republican shills to divert attention away from their wealth hoarding and direct it towards the rich, the actual productive members of the workforce who have made significant contributions to the economy and who are paying their share of taxes. This insidious tactic shields the wealthy from further scrutiny as they cloak themselves among the larger group. The richest members of the labor force are used as a shield of sorts to camouflage the true wealth hoarders against tax increases. Insulating themselves from scrutiny by marshaling the rich against the lower earners of the labor force protects the wealthy class from scrutiny, so they can continue the hoarding of wealth and consolidation of power.
This is what wealth inequality in the United States actually looks like. This grain of rice represents $200,000. That's about the median net worth of a citizen in the United States, which means if you took our population and drew a line split down the middle, about half of us have this much or less.
Recently, a video has made the rounds that uses rice as a means to demonstrate wealth inequality. Unfortunately, while the creator does an adequate job of illustrating the disparity in wealth that exists between the rich and lowest earners of the labor force, the true wealth inequality remains conspicuously absent. He includes the wealth of billionaires as compared to the average earner, equated as 1 grain of rice, but he fails to include the wealthiest among us, the trillionaires. There are 1,000 millions in 1 billion. There are 1,000 billions in 1 trillion. To demonstrate, the gulf that separates the millionaire from the billionaire is far greater than that which separates the average earner from the millionaire. One only has to earn $100,000 10 times to become a millionaire, but a millionaire must earn $1 million 1,000 times to become a billionaire. Similarly, a billionaire must earn another 1,000 billions to become a trillionaire. Including all of these earners in the same category is a method of deception. Note that billionaires do not give a damn about millionaires, and trillionaires do not give a damn about billionaires. Each of these groups are separated by impassable gulfs. Comparatively, a multimillionaire is 1,000 times poorer than a billionaire, and this is a far greater disparity in wealth than that separating the millionaire from the average earner. A millionaire is only 1,000 times wealthier than the average earner, while a billionaire is tens of thousands times wealthier than the millionaire. To lump all of these earners into the same group is to overlook the true magnitude of the disparity between those who earn millions and those who hoard billions and trillions. It disguises just how evil the true top wealth hoarders are.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Stay tuned to Dark City. In the coming weeks, installments will explore in greater depth the use of secret communication, codes, and mind control techniques used to keep us enslaved within the matrix of control. Instances of cryptography, subliminal messaging, foreshadowing, and coded language within film, music, and media will be analyzed with examples, and those who pay attention may discover ways to escape its influence.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
The labor force toils in the service of the oligarchs, consolidating true wealth in the form of life-sustaining resources, in exchange for which they receive fiat currency, which has no inherent value. It is useless paper to be exchanged for goods and services. The buying power of this currency is manipulated by the oligarchs. The wealthy oligarchs accumulate resources. The rest of us expend our labor in the acquisition of money. Money has no value. It is a medium of exchange. It is a currency. The wealthy exploit the labor of others to consolidate the natural resources that do have intrinsic value. The most valuable resource is other people, human resources. In keeping with the theme of linguistic sorcery, we will examine the use of this word along with the use of the term currency and the implications in subsequent installments. Both the left and the right serve as gatekeepers to manage the perceptions of the masses. They serve as controlled opposition to prevent the masses from uniting against the small percentage of people who actually hoard all the wealth. Recently, many commentators on the right have been irresponsibly perpetuating the idea that the people who hold the greatest wealth have earned it through hard work and innovation, and they warn that taxation of their income will force them to relocate their companies to other countries to avoid paying higher taxes. However, the rich are not the people who are hoarding all the wealth. Certain corporate shills, who have large followings on social media platforms and will remain unnamed, claim that the Pareto principle will always hold because a small number of people are hyper-productive. This hyper-productivity, they claim, is why they will always accumulate wealth and their earnings are just. This is an insidious misrepresentation of the truth. While it is true that some people are industrious, it is not the hardworking people who hold the largest portions of wealth in society or in the world. They just earn the highest incomes in the labor force. The true wealth holders are not a part of the labor force. The people whose names we never hear in the media, who actually do hoard and control most of the wealth of the world, are not productive at all. In fact, they do not provide anything of worth to society. The wealthy elite are the actual demographic the left are really referencing when they speak of taxation. The controlled opposition on the right knows this is true, but they deflect attention away from the elite and direct it onto the highest earners of the labor force, who actually do produce wealth and contribute something of value to society. Conflation of these two distinctly different groups, the rich and the wealthy, prevents people from awakening to the existence of their true oppressors, the people who are the actual hoarders of wealth. I find it disturbing that so many people who consider themselves to be red-pilled, conservative, or Republican in their political affiliation, and claim to be aware of the machinations that work in the shadows to consolidate power and have accumulated enormous wealth, are now actually beginning to serve the interests of the very wealthy psychopathic elite against whom they rail. Whether intentional or not, these content providers and social media influencers enable the elite to remain hidden and secure by failing to make a clear distinction between the rich people who make up the small percentage of the working labor force and the psychopathic wealthy elite. The presence of dupes and shills and how to identify them in the realm of political discourse will be examined in subsequent installments. We look forward to seeing you soon. Like a labyrinth, the Black Mirror is a rabbit hole down which you are forever tumbling and from which you may never return, and your self-image will be remade into whatever form the dwellers within the darkness of the Black Mirror want you to be.
Didn't start asking the right fucking questions.